You guys have been asking for it, and here we go. This is our current highest damaging build, courtesy of Maelle. Yes, 1.1 billion might be the average you see with this build, depending on the enemy. But this build is incredibly flexible, and it scales depending on the enemy that you're facing. You can see numbers like this. See, 1.6 billion. Damage has no limits in Clair Obscur Expedition 33. The devs have really crafted a system here to let us just run wild with the potential. Depending on the enemy and their weaknesses too, we're finding bigger numbers are possible without changing any builds as much. Some chromatic enemies are taking over 2 billion damage. Major shoutouts to Schrodinger's baby Sciel for this screenshot of his gameplay. He was able to hit 2 billion damage with the same exact build that we're running. But he's in New Game Plus, and I don't have that specific enemy available anymore, so I can't really capture that footage. Anything this high is more than enough to one-shot everything in the game, so build this at your own risk. I highly recommend to wait until after the challenges are all done and side content as well, or else this will ruin fights for you. The main super boss, I ended up one-shotting him twice in both phases and didn't even get to see how crazy his movesets were. So again, keep that in mind, and also subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more builds. We got Sciel coming next with Verso and Monoko. Health rate's at 38%, even higher. And now, let's talk about Maelle. Starting off with the beginner portion of Maelle, I know we're level 99, but all of these combos and stuff still apply to early game. When it comes to your skill like attribute management, I obviously like to focus more on might, agility, and luck. Luck doesn't matter so much later on because we eventually get to a point where Pictos and all kinds of different Lumina can really get us over the edge without having to spec into luck, so we could save a whole lot in that avenue, right? So very early game, might, agility, luck is pretty much the base foundation that you want to focus on across all characters. Not just Maelle, but all your characters essentially, because your defense and your vitality, you'll be managing that with your parries and your dodges. Now, once you finally get a weapon that you want to focus in, it's best to obviously spec towards that weapon to boost its power even further. So for this weapon that I have for Maelle, the Medallum, it's might, agility, and defense. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to boost those up, and you'll see because of the Picto combinations that we have, we still get 106% crit rate at the end of the day because of the combination. And we're focused on agility and might, so we're dealing max damage, and also our speed is crazy. The best weapon in the game for Maelle is the Medallum. You can get it very early on at the Gestural Tournament. If you unfortunately missed out on that, the only other way to get it is to defeat Golgra, which is very difficult. You'll have to come back way later on in order to do that. It almost makes no sense to use anybody else besides Maelle in the tournament because both of those weapons from Gustav and Lune you get right before you get to the Gestural Village. So Medallum is the way to go. If you miss out on the Medallum, the next best weapon that you can go for is the Burellum at this point of the story. This is actually pretty good. Crits will basically apply burn, and base attacks also apply to burn, and at level 20, 100% crit chance when you're stanceless. The main aspect about this is being able to apply burns on crit, because we can manipulate crit in so many easy ways with different Pictos. We can actually get enemies burned nonstop, and not to mention you'll have Lune in the party at that point, and Lune will constantly be burning enemies. This way, Maelle will be able to go into Virtuous Stance, so you won't feel as bad not having the Medallum. The next best weapon is the Jarum. You actually get this from the Chromatic Jar enemy on the continent. This is in Act 2, so it is a pretty tough enemy, but overall, it's very solid up until the end game. You basically switch to Virtuous Stance anytime you do a counterattack, and it also applies 5 burn on a counterattack. Best of both worlds. This is a very solid weapon for Maelle if you missed out on some of the other better options at this point. And then late game, if you still don't have the Medallum, there is the Barrier Breaker. This is story related. You end up getting this no matter what, as long as you progress through the story. This is right after defeating both of the Axons. On paper, this is supposed to be her strongest weapon, but I've done many tests between the Barrier Breaker and the Medallum, and even though it does have more power and it uses the same exact stats as the Medallum, the Barrier Breaker does significantly less damage in comparison. It's kind of disappointing. Makes me a little worried because now at this point, what other weapons might be best for her? Because when you get high enough level, you can't really be upgrading weapons like that. Perfect chromas are very scarce, and you can only get them by doing New Game Plus. So your priority should be the Burellum. You get this as early as the Flying Waters. Enemies can drop it, or you can find it behind the first manor entrance. Those enemies will drop it too. Right after that, your main priority overall should be the Medallum. It's her best weapon. If you miss out on that, Jarum, and then eventually you get the Barrier Breaker. The Medallum is so good. Not only do you start off in Virtuous Stance, every burn applied is doubled, and then in Virtuous Stance, burns deal double damage. And you can take that a step further once you get other Pictos, like for example, Double Burn, which on applying a burn stack applies a second one, which scales to a crazy amount with the Medallum in Maelle. But as you get stronger with her, you won't really be trying to burn enemies with Maelle. That'll be other characters' jobs. Early game Pictos, I say for the main 3, use whatever it is that you got your hands on, man. I'm trying to get as much crit rate, as much crit rate as possible. These are higher leveled ones that I've gotten from playing through the game. Pictos level up as you progress through the story. You come across merchants that you could buy higher level versions of it, or certain bosses will automatically level it up for you. Talking about Maelle's skills, her kit is probably the easiest to manage, to be honest. The main focus should always be Virtual Stance. 200% damage is a crazy amount and just can kill and delete a lot of enemies, especially early on. You can hit 9999 with her as soon as you get her, actually, if you're using your moves correctly, right? Swift Stride, you use this on an enemy that's burned, so this way you can immediately go into Virtuous Stance. And then while you're in Virtuous Stance, the next move you should be using is Per Se, especially if the enemy is marked. This is going to deal crazy damage, sometimes 9 stacks. And then eventually Fleuret Fury, which you can get early on too. This is her move that can break, and if you're in Virtuous Stance and you use this, she will stay in Virtuous Stance, which is a very, very good move to continue on maxing out her damage. Spark is her main fire move you'll be using for quite some time. If you run into a situation where maybe Lune is down, or you don't have Lune in the party, or nobody has burning shots on, you can use Maelle to apply burn stacks to the enemy, so this way she can keep up her Virtuous Stance herself. Maelle has other great playstyles too. A lot of people like to use her as the tank and absorbing a lot of damage, which she can do. I personally don't think that her strength lies in that. Left side of this tree here is mostly fire focused. Right side is more physical focused. And then the middle is a mix of the two. Later on in the story, these top 3 will unlock for you guys, but this is her overall best move, Stendhal, which we'll talk about more later. And then this is her best AoE move, Phantom Strike. It'll hit all targets 4 hits, and it also charges your gradient charges by 35%. Early game best teammates for Maelle are Sciel, Gustave, Lune, and eventually Verso when you unlock him. Sciel is so versatile. She works well on every team, and you gotta have her on your teams, guys. She does so well with Fortune's Fury right here and Intervention. These 2 moves are so goated, especially for Maelle. You can run team comps where Maelle goes and attacks first to start off the battles, and then Sciel goes third. And then when it's Ciel's turn, she can use Interventions to make Maelle go again. So there's different combinations in that sense that you can use Sciel for that. But there's also some really strong elements to her kit, which we'll get into later. The main thing with Lune is trying to get her Wildfire. Wildfire hits all enemies and it applies 3 burn to them. And since we'll be burning enemies a lot with Lune, that'll help out Maelle ultimately to stay in Virtuos mode as long as possible. So this team comp I'm going to show you guys starts off with Sciel, then Lune, and then Maelle. It's our early game build combination. I think they all have Cheater on as well. No, the other 2 have Faster Than Strong. So starting off these fights with Sciel, the usual flow will be depending on whether or not you have Fortune's Fury or Intervention or both. So with Fortune's Fury, you'll go ahead and typically double Maelle's damage is what I typically like to do. Or use all set to buff everybody, or Intervention to make Maelle go again. Making Sciel go third, this would be a really good strategy to just make Maelle go like twice. But what we'll do here, just to start things off, we'll use all set. Right, give everybody some buffs. And we'll skip Ciel's turn. And now with Lune, you have a couple options, right? Lune, she has marking shots, so she can mark enemies with her shots, and she also has Wildfire, which will burn enemies, and she also has marking burn, so she can, you know, burn enemies in that way. So Wildfire will hit everybody. Too much damage. Oh my god. We have marking shots, we have marking burn, and we also have Wildfire that'll like burn enemies. So since we're in Virtual Stance, the enemy is marked, the enemy is also burned. We have Per Se, which is highlighted and showing us that we can hit that and deal some crazy damage with it. So hitting this on an enemy, jeez, 24 million on that. That would be a guaranteed 9,999 for most of you guys between the levels of like 13 to 20 easy. And then at Maelle's turn, you would spark and hit the enemy right here. Burn them as much as you can. Essentially, early game Maelle is very easy. It's all about how often you manage staying in Virtuous mode. She's way easier to pick up and play than Lune is, for example. I mean, I'm not saying Lune is bad by any means. It's just that her kit does require a lot more management than Maelle's does. And in the mid game for Maelle, you kind of go away from Swift Stride and you start focusing on Last Chance. This is one of my favorite abilities in the game. It reduces your self health to 1 HP, but it refills all of your AP and immediately switches you into Virtual Stance. This move is insanely good And with the help of a few Pictos that you can get at that point, this goes even crazier, guys. I'm talking about abusing shields. You'll be at 1 HP, but you'll have shields to protect you going forward. There's also the parry. And in general, this frees up a lot of slot. You'll be focusing less on fire and letting other characters handle the fire. Guard down is a pretty good move. It applies defenseless to all enemies for 3 turns. This will basically buff everybody's damage by increasing how much damage the enemies take. Mezzo Forte is another good one. Reapplying the current stance and gives you 2 to 4 AP. That's if you don't have enough AP to deal any damage whatsoever, but you don't want to lose Virtuous Stance. You use this, it costs 1 AP, and it basically keeps you in Virtuous Stance and gives you back 2 to 4 AP. Her right side kit is all pretty much going to be Act 2 focus until you get to Act 3 when the top 3 unlock. And the main one you're going to be wanting to focus on is Phantom Strike and Stendhal. Stendhal is our big single target, extreme void damage. It will remove all the self shields that you put on and puts defenses on her, but it doesn't matter because enemies most likely will be dead. And then we got Phantom Strike, which hits everybody, and you'll probably have been seeing clips throughout the channel of me using it. It's just, it deletes enemies. It's so good. This is what my Lumina is looking like. To be honest, with this build from Maelle, you could probably get away with putting this together with just 400 Lumina, maybe less, 350. I just kind of went a little overkill because I was doing a lot of experiments with her, but this is essentially the Lumina pool that I'm rolling with for my teammates. I'm actually working on building up Lune and Sciel with the infinite Lumina farm, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that yet, we posted a video on that earlier. Feel free to check that out and use that to get infinite amounts of Lumina. It's crazy good, but it's endgame. So for Maelle, we have the Medallum equipped, so we're always in Virtuous Stance to start off a battle. We have Last Chance, which will put us into Virtuous Stance if we ever need it. Stendhal for the big damage. Phantom Strike for the AoE big damage. Mezzo Forte to keep us in Virtuos if we need to. Fleuret Fury, I have on her, but you can honestly swap this out for, where is it? Sword Ballet. Yeah, you can swap this out for Sword Ballet. You could do Fencer's Flurry, or you could do Gustave's Homage. Keep yourself in the stance and guard down to just debuff all enemies. But to be honest, these 3 are pretty much all you're going to be using. So yes, guys, our Lumina, our Picto combinations are a little intense, crazy right now with the way that this game just allows you to play. It's so nuts. I'm going to be linking down below a wiki for you guys to be able to track and find where to get these Pictos because there's so many of them. I'm going to break them down each one, what they do and why you need them. But in order to find them, I highly recommend you use that wiki in order to locate them, right, guys? Age of Survival, 1+ shield on being revived. That's always a good thing to have on any character, really. At Death's Door, as you guys saw, the Last Chance ability lets her go down to 1 HP. This increases your damage by 50% more if your health is below 10%. So 1 HP, this is an immediate use. You definitely want to take advantage of that. I have all the augmented counters that I can put on her just so she deals a lot of counter damage. First Strike, augmented First Strike. That's 50% increased damage on the first hit, which counts for the mark shots, which counts for basic attacks and also her abilities. So you kind of want to reserve her first hit to be an ability, which is why we want to stay in Virtuous Stance to start off. I have auto regen, auto rush as well, so this way it can kind of like get the most like status effects on her, the most buffs possible. I'm still a little confused on whether or not Tainted procs on that, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. We have Breaker, 25% increased break damage, which is always good. You don't necessarily need it at this point because we're not really trying to break enemies. You could probably swap that out. It's a free 10 that you can get rid of. We have Burn Affinity. Burn Affinity increases the damage on burning targets. Perfect for Maelle, perfect for anybody really, but 9 times out of 10 with Lune in the party, enemies will be burned. Burn Affinity is just one of those ones that you need in order to push your damage right over the edge. We have the Cheater Picto. You always play twice in a row. You can get this as early as Act 2, but it is very difficult to defeat Sprong. You might be waiting until later on to fight and defeat him. He's in the water. One of the best Pictos in the game. Honestly, 10 out of 10. It is very expensive, but rightfully so. It's so good. Faster Than Strong is another alternative to this, but you'll be reducing her damage by 50%. Confident Fighter. This is actually helping out another Picto, which we'll get into just now. This will increase her damage by 30%, but she can't be healed, which is okay because of another Picto we have. Critical Moments. 50% increased critical chance if health is below 30%. We don't necessarily need this anymore. This is very good early on with Last Chance and stuff to manipulate that, but since we're at 106 crit rate, we don't need this. Dead Energy 2, 3+ AP on killing an enemy. I need to find Dead Energy 1. Energizing Powerful. Give 2 AP on applying Powerful, which automatically gets applied with some of the setup that we have on her. And we'll go through that just now. We have as many of the Energizing starts that we can get on her. Energizing Turn as well. And then Energy Master. Energy Master you can actually get from the Serpent flying enemy. It's a very good Picto. This makes it so that anytime you gain 1 AP with a character that has it equipped, they'll gain a bonus 1. So on top of like all the energizing starts and the energizing turns, she'll be gaining basically max AP. I could probably take off this energizing start 20 Lumina. I probably don't need that because of how much she's getting off of these two alone. That's 4 basically to start off, and then 5 with this one. Yeah, it's a lot of AP. I probably don't even need that, but it's overkill. Exhausting power is a what if. I haven't found any consistent way to get your characters exhausted. Enemies just apply this to you. Certain ones do, certain ones don't. So exhausting power, 50% increased damage if you're exhausted. It's a status effect that enemies can cast on you that makes it so that you can't gain AP. Then you got first offensive. You can get this from the pink sheep enemy, the chromatic abist. This will basically make it so that your first hit will deal 50% more damage and you'll take 50% more damage. Glass cannon, mega glass cannon. First strike, play first. Once you get this, you don't need to R1 enemies anymore. Just slap this on everybody. Glass cannon, again, high risk, high reward, 25% more damage, 25% more damage taken. Greater defenseless and greater powerful. These are the 2 ones that I was missing up until recent. I went and found them, didn't know they existed, but this has absolutely pushed my damage over the edge. 15% increase to defenseless damage amplification, meaning that if an enemy has defenseless casting on them, you'll deal 15% more damage to them if you have this equipped. And with powerful, greater powerful, you'll deal 15% more damage if you have powerful equipped, which is great. Just boosting damage more further than you can. Immaculate, 30% more damage until a hit is received. So until she gets hit, this will stay on or it will go away. In media res, 3+ shields on battle start, but max health is halved. This is great. I think that having as many shields as possible on a character, especially if you're running low HP runs, definitely high priorities on this character. And we also have another Picto, which we'll get to just now, that boosts the damage per shield that you have. So she can get a max of 9 shields. So that's 90% more damage. Inverted affinity applies inverted onto yourself for 3 turns on the battle start. 50% increased damage when you're inverted. So inverted is a status effect that makes it so that if you get healed or try to get healed while this is active, it'll kill you. It'll damage you. And to counter that, we have Confident Fighter on, which doesn't let her be healed. So can't be killed essentially from the effect of inverted, and life is good. We also have Painted Power that's story related. You'll get that eventually. Damage exceed past the limit break. Powered attack. On every damage dealt, you try to consume 1 AP, and if you're successful, damage will increase by 20%. This is great. Much earlier than later. Late game, this kind of falls off because you're killing enemies in one shot, so you're not really getting the full benefit out of this, and fights are not lasting as long. But still pretty good to have on, especially for Void Strike, which hits 4 times against enemies. You can build up Maelle's damage continuously because after her first hit, her damage buffs do go away, and this is a good way to keep those going on longer fights, but you do run out of AP more, so keep that in mind. Powerful shield. This is the game changer, man. 10% increased damage per shield point on self. 9 shields, 90% more damage increase. That's fucking stupid. And then we got Roulette, one of my favorite ones in the game. Every hit has a 50% chance to deal either 50% of its damage or 200% of its damage. I always have it on. At this point in the later game, the difference between Roulette negatively impacting me is 248 million damage versus over 1.6 billion. So it's the night and day difference to have this on versus off. Early game, this might mess you up once you can't break the damage limit, but once you can break the damage limit, you kind of want to have Roulette on everybody. SOS power to apply powerful when falling below 50% health. She'll always be below 50% health, so she'll always start off with power or have power to start off the matches. We got SOS Shell to get more buffs on her when falling below 50%. Second chance to revive with 100% health once per battle. I can't talk. There's a reason why we have this on, and I'll show you guys in a second. Shield Affinity, 30% increased damage while having shields, but if you receive any damage, it always removes all the shields. Kind of sucks that you have 9 shields and they can all go away if you get hit once, but that 30% is so good to come across, man. And Shielding Death, if she dies, allies will get 3 shield points, which is good. I mean, you can probably turn this off. Don't necessarily need to give allies shields, but I imagine later on this can help out a lot. Shortcut to play immediately whenever falling below 30% health, which is very important. This is how a lot of my auto death builds, which I'll put on auto death right now and show you guys, makes it so that characters will fight first or before others. So shortcut is very important. Solidifying. 2+ shields when character falls below 50% health. This just helps us get to 9. Solo fighter, just in case. Stun boost. This is another one too. 30% increased damage on stunned targets. This is a big deal. It actually does, for this type of setup that we're going to be running, crazy damage. And you got Survivor. Survive a fatal damage with 1 HP once per battle. This is also very important once we have auto death on. If you have Survivor and auto death, this will always make it so that Maelle gets put to 1 HP at the start of every fight, so you can take full advantage of her big damage, right, being below 10%, and also not dying. It's good. Tainted, increased damage on each status effect on self. So I'm unsure if this counts towards rush, regen, shell, and all that stuff. I know for a fact it does count towards inverted, which is good, but 15% is 15%. I'm going to take it either way. Teamwork, 10% increased damage while all allies are alive. And warming up, which if fights go on for longer, this is great, but 5% increased damage per turn. Basically, she gets 5% on the first turn, and yeah, it is dealing max damage there. So we're gonna put back on auto death on her. Early game, you guys can really take advantage of critical burn to increase your crit chance on burning enemies. So this way, if you can't get to 100% crit rate, you can guarantee it with this. Double burn, we also said before, is also really good for her. Empowering dodge just might be the key to getting over 2 billion consistently, but we'll have to that you need to get that to proc 10 times, so we'll have to work on this a little bit more. So there you go, we put auto death on her just so we can have and ensure that she gets all her buffs off the jump. And Sciel and Lune are running essentially the same exact build. They're putting on auto death, so this way, and here's the crazy thing about this build, they're putting on auto death so they will die as soon as the battle starts, but second chance will revive them, and then they have shortcut, so this way they will go before Maelle takes her turn. Both of them this will happen with. But not only that, on Lune, we have Burning Death, which will apply automatically. It'll apply 3 burn to all enemies on death. Then we have Breaking Death. It'll fully charge the enemy's break bar all the way to max on death. And then we have Marking Break. Apply a mark on break. So this will make it so that Lune will mark the enemy immediately on breaking the target. So she'll die, she'll burn the enemy, she will put the enemy in a position to be broken, and then when she breaks them, she will also not only stun them, but she will apply a mark automatically to that enemy. So all great stuff to have that'll continue to push Maelle to that crazy damage that we've been looking for. And I'm so sorry, guys, that took a very long time, but it's a lot of buffs, man. It's so much shit. For the sake of this demonstration and not one-shotting everything, I do have lower damaging weapons on Lune and Sciel, but don't feel the need to do that. You guys can put full damage ones and just go ham, because fights will end very quickly if I don't have these on. We made our way to the Endless Tower just for this demonstration. I'm gonna go all the way to Trial, Stage 11, Trial 1. This enemy in the middle here has either lower defense or is weaker to Void. So just to show you guys, both teammates died there. They applied 9 shield to Maelle, and it's about to get crazy. So we're gonna use Fortune's Fury with Sciel, because she's going first, to double Maelle's damage. Now, I don't have any other buffs here really to apply. The next thing I could do, I could put all set, but Maelle already has everything on her. I'm just gonna intervention, and we're gonna make Lune go. So this way, if you don't have any of the AP stuff to max out Lune, Sciel will more than likely give her enough AP to attack. So now, with Lune, you'll see all the enemies are pretty much ready to be broken. So I'm going to use her Rock Slide, which is a single target attack, but it can break. So we'll break the middle enemy here. And you'll see it broke the enemy, it stunned them, and they are marked. I don't have anything else to do with Lune at this point, so I'm just going to switch over. Now Maelle will deal double damage on this turn, and all that's left to do is to use Stendhal, her hardest hitting attack, on the enemy that is marked, burned, and stunned, and just let's watch the magic happen. And now that we've seen how much damage that can do with Lune, there's a little bit of a bug that I'm hoping can be worked out here, but let's switch over to Verso really quick. So with Verso, which is another great character you'll probably be adding into your teams later on, works very well with any team composition, and Maelle especially. So we do have slightly more Pictos. It's kind of a combination of whatever Maelle has and whatever Lune has. So essentially, you want to make sure that all of the Pictos that we have on Lune, we have those on Verso. That's the auto death, the breaking death, burning death, things to get those enemies debuffed faster than possible, as fast as possible. I made sure to add back painted power and stuff to him. And also, one thing that I'm a little curious on when it comes to Verso, where is it? Quick break. Quick break is weird. It says you get to play again after you break a target, but I haven't seen it been like working, especially if like you break a target on a second turn. We'll put it on him and we'll see. But essentially, I'll show you guys just what it's like when two characters like Verso and Maelle are both focused on damage. But keep in mind, Verso is going to do slightly less damage because he's not getting his buffs from his perfection. Those will be applied, quote unquote, to Maelle and Sciel. So either way, let's try this out with Verso. Same thing, stage 11, trial 1. Yeah, see, he died. He has 7 shields on him now. So we're gonna Fortune's Fury Maelle. And I'm gonna intervention. Oh, actually, yeah, I'll intervention him. We'll make him go again. So in this case, we can Phantom Stars because it's going to automatically break them. It's going to put him into S rank. It's overall a really good move for this part. And it's going to mark, burn, do all that good stuff. Yeah. That was beautiful. So, Verso, we can end his turn now. Let's do that. We'll skip his turn. Jump into Maelle, and we'll Stendhal, single target, just deal some crazy damage to this one. This should do 1.6. There we go, 1.67. That's good. And right now, I guess we'll prep Maelle. We'll put her back into... I could Phantom Strike here, but it's not going to be enough to kill them, especially since she's stanceless right now. So I'm actually going to Last Chance with her, which will end her turn. These guys will wake up. Okay. So they're still marked and all that good stuff. I could just... I could probably just Phantom Strike here. Big damage. Oh my god. We don't have enough to do... Actually, well, here, look at this. Look at this opportunity here. Well, Last Chance again. Sciel goes again. And guess what? Sciel, Fortune's Fury, Maelle. And then Sciel... Oh no! I wasn't paying attention. I didn't have enough... That was dumb. I should have just intervention. But you get it. In that situation, I would intervention towards Maelle. If I had more AP, that would have been perfect. I wasn't paying attention though. That's me. Okay. Whatever. Put some marks on him. All right, Ben. Let's go with the Steel Strike. He'll be able to take it off one time now. And kill. Team comp, man. Team comp goes pretty hard on this. Not a whole lot of stuff that can just outright beat this, right? Honestly, we would have ended it way faster had we instead used intervention on Maelle there. So it's all good. Now, another situation I want to show you guys from an AoE perspective when it comes to Maelle and how exactly this could work. So we're going to follow the same exact setup. Fortune's Fury on Maelle. Intervention on Verso. Now we're going to make Verso break everybody. Hits and breaks everyone. Super debuffs them. I would attack with him again here, but I want to keep the mark on them. You know, that one to keep marks on enemies would be great there. And now we're going to do AoE. We're going to immediately Phantom Strike. The only one that survived was the Duelist. And just to kind of like correct our previous mistake, we could kill him right now with Stendhal, but just for the sake of it, I'm gonna last chance here. He's not gonna be able to wake up from this, right? He's not gonna attack. It'll go. Oh, I thought it was gonna go into I wasn't paying attention. I thought it was gonna go into Sciel. If it had gone into Sciel, I would have just pushed it back over to Maelle, which actually I'll just show you guys here. Whatever, we'll just skip a turn. Last chance. It'll switch to Sciel, and with Sciel, since we have 5 with intervention, and make Maelle go again. You see what I mean? Like, this is incredibly broken and flexible. You don't have to do that, but I just wanted to show you, if you had the AP, you could just manipulate turns at will with this, not just this build, but with just in general, this team comp. Sciel is absolutely busted for that reason alone. Like, Maelle went so many times. Oh man, the AoE focus aspect of it still netted about 100 million. That's still great. And you know what's funny is, while I was recording this, shout out to my main man Anthony Giannuzzi. I'm gonna link his channel down below for you guys to check it out. This dude just sent me this. Hold on a second. He tagged me and Baby Seal in this. This fucking mad lad did 2.9 billion damage. Oh my god. You guys can check out his channel down below. I'm pretty sure he'll be making a video on that, and I'll try my own spin out on his build after we see what exactly it is that he did. I do see he took some damage here, and he did have 1 parry, so it looks like First Strike might not have been active. It did take 2 minutes and 54 seconds to like set it up, so maybe there is some like counterplay to this. It doesn't say dodges. I was thinking maybe he used empowering dodge, but he didn't, because there's no dodges here. Either way, man, this game is amazing. I'm gonna love making tons of content about this stuff, and like you guys as well. If you guys find any crazy builds, any insane damage numbers, I want you guys to point me in the direction. I want to see some crazy stuff, see what you guys can get going. This video here is just to kind of like open the floodgates, show you guys what exactly it is you need, what you can do, and you all, I'm counting on you guys to take it a step further and just completely demolish this even further. If you enjoyed this build and you're looking forward to more, we still got Sciel on the way, as well as Verso and Minoko. So comment down below if you guys need any more help with this build, any tips and stuff. I got you guys covered. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new. More Clair Obscur Expedition 33 videos are on the way, and you don't want to miss them. My name is BltzZ, and thanks for watching.